You are sitting in a glass conference room on the 40th floor, and the man across from you is not a client. He is a lawyer, and he has a folder with your name on it and a tail number circled in red. Behind him, on a screen, is a photo of wreckage on a runway in Aspen. 3 people did not walk away from that landing. Your phone is face down on the table, and it has been buzzing since 8 this morning, and you already know it is your daughter because she has called 4 times and you have answered 0. This is level 7. $500 million on paper, 41 aircraft under management. And right now, none of it matters, because in about 6 minutes, you are going to find out whether you still own your own company. But we are not starting here. We are starting at level 1 at 19 years old, on a tarmac, in the rain, for $11 an hour. There are 7 levels between that rain and this room, and here is the number that should scare you. 92% of private aviation companies that cross $100 million in revenue never make it to a third owner, because somewhere around level 5, the person who built the company stops being the person who controls it. Level 1. Ramp agent. 19 years old, $22,880 a year, before taxes, before the boots you have to buy yourself. You are pushing a tug across wet concrete at 4 in the morning, guiding a Gulf Stream into its spot while a man in a $5,000 coat steps off without looking at you once. Your supervisor, a guy named Frank who has worked this ramp for 22 years, leans over and says, quote, "You see that guy? He does not know your name, and he never will. But one day you are gonna own the company that owns the plane he is standing on. Or you are gonna push tugs until your knees give out. Ramp does not care which one," unquote. You go home smelling like jet fuel and rain, and you fall asleep in your work clothes because you have a 6 a.m. shift again tomorrow. But something in your head has already started forming a plan, because you have noticed the one thing nobody else on this ramp notices. It is not the planes that make money. It is the seat on the plane. It is the empty leg nobody sold, flying back to base with 4 open seats and 0 revenue every single day on every single tail. Level 2. Charter Sales Coordinator. 23 years old. $52,000 a year plus commission, and you have moved off the tarmac and into a cubicle with a headset that never comes off. Your job is to sell those empty legs, half-full flights, seats on planes that are already flying somewhere anyway, and you turn out to be good at it. Good enough that your boss starts routing the difficult clients to you, the ones who scream about weather delays and want a jet in 90 minutes with no notice. You start sleeping 4 hours a night. You miss your best friend's wedding because a client's deal in Teterboro fell through on a Saturday, and you were the only one who could fix it. Your girlfriend at the time stands in your kitchen at 11 p.m. while you are still on your headset and says, "You talk to strangers about their planes more than you talk to me." She is right. You keep the headset on anyway, because you have just realized something that changes everything. You are not being paid for the value you create. You are being paid a flat salary, while the brokerage keeps the spread, and the spread on one good charter deal is more than you make in a month of 80-hour weeks. Level 3. Founder, your own charter brokerage, 1 leased aircraft on your books, 28 years old, $1.2 million in revenue in your first full year, and $40,000 of actual profit, after insurance, after the lease payment, after the broker fees you now pay to other brokers, because you still do not own the plane, you just represent it. You are the entire company. There is no team, there is just you, a laptop, and a phone that rings at 3 a.m. because a client's flight got weathered out in Teterboro and someone needs a solution before sunrise, or the deal and the relationship dies. A mentor, an older operator named Diane who has been in this business since the 80s, tells you over coffee, everyone thinks this business is about airplanes. It is not. It is about liability. You are one bad weather call away from a lawsuit that ends you, and you do not even own the metal you are risking your name on. You do not sleep that night because you finally understand you have built a business with no floor under it, and the only way up is to start owning the aircraft yourself, which means real debt, the kind that carries your personal guarantee and your house as collateral. Level 4. Owner, small fleet, 4 aircraft, 34 years old, $14 million in revenue, $900,000 in profit, and on paper you look like a success story. What the paper does not show is the $11 million in aircraft debt sitting on your personal guarantee, or the maintenance invoice that just came in at $400,000 for one unplanned engine overhaul due in 30 days. Your wife sits you down at the kitchen table, and she is not angry, which is somehow worse, and she says you missed our son's first steps because you were in Van Nuys dealing with an aircraft on ground. I need to know if this is temporary or if this is just who you are now. You do not have an answer because you are already thinking about the insurance renewal due next week, which might come in 40% higher after an incident last year, an incident that was not even your aircraft. It belonged to a competitor. But in this industry, premiums move together across the whole fleet class. You tell her it is temporary. It is not temporary. Within 14 months, she files, and you get every other weekend with your son, and you tell yourself it was worth it because level 5 is only $10 million of valuation away. Level 5. Regional operator, 12 aircraft, 2 FBO leases, an actual FAA operating certificate under your name, 40 years old. $90 million valuation on your last internal appraisal. This is the level where the business finally starts to look like an empire instead of a hustle. And it is also the level where you almost lose it all in one single afternoon. One of your aircraft has a hard landing in Scottsdale. Minor injuries, no fatalities. But the FAA opens an investigation into your maintenance records, and for 6 weeks your entire operating certificate sits under review, which means every plane you own could be grounded at once. Your director of maintenance, a woman named Rosa, who has kept you legal for 6 years, calls you at midnight and says if they pull the certificate, you do not have a business tomorrow morning. You have $41 million in aircraft with nowhere to fly them, and lease payments still due every single day. You survive it, barely. You pass the audit and keep the certificate, but you have just learned the real structural truth of this business at scale. You do not actually run a fleet of jets. You run a compliance department that occasionally lets planes take off, and one bad inspector's report can erase $90 million of value in a single afternoon, no matter how good your pilots are. By the way, if you are still here at level 5, you already understand this was never really a video about airplanes, so hit subscribe, because level 6 is where it stops being your company at all. Level 6. Founder and CEO, National Private Aviation Group. Fractional ownership, charter, aircraft management, 3 FBOs. 47 years old. $310 million valuation, confirmed by an actual term sheet, because at this level, growth capital does not come from a bank anymore. It comes from a private equity fund that wants 40% of your company in exchange for the $200 million you need to buy your competitors before they buy you. You sit across from a partner at the fund, a calm man named Whitman who has never flown anything smaller than a Gulfstream himself, and he says, "We love the business, we love you, we just need a board seat, a preferred return before common equity, and drag along rights in case we ever need to force a sale down the road." You sign it because the alternative is staying at $300 million forever while a better funded competitor eats your market share city by city. You call it a partnership. Your lawyer quietly afterward in the parking garage calls it something else. She says, "You just gave someone else a vote on whether you get to keep your own name on the door." Which brings us back to that glass room on the 40th floor. Level 7. $500 million valuation. 41 aircraft. And the lawsuit from Aspen because it turns out one of your fractional aircraft, the one you do not personally fly, the one Whitman's fund insisted you expand into to hit an aggressive growth target, had a maintenance sign-off that was rushed by 6 days to meet a delivery deadline the board set, not you. The lawyer closes the folder and says the words that recontextualize the entire climb. The board is prepared to remove you as CEO to protect the brand during litigation. You will keep your equity. you will not keep your title, and you will not keep operational control. And here is the real price of success in this industry, the thing nobody tells you at level 1, when Frank is talking about tugs and knees on a wet ramp at 4 in the morning. You spent 28 years thinking the goal was to own the planes. You never owned the planes. The banks owned them through debt covenants. The lessors owned them through residual value clauses. The insurance underwriters owned them through policies that could cancel with 30 days' notice. And the fund owned you the moment you signed away drag-along rights in exchange for growth capital at level 6. You built an empire and became the only person in it without a parachute. Your daughter finally calls back that night. You answer. You do not know what to say to her, because for the first time in 28 years, you are not thinking about a single airplane. So that is the full climb. Ramp agent to regional operator to a $500 million group that, on the day it mattered most, was never really yours to lose, because it was never fully yours to keep. If this is the version of success you are chasing, ask yourself which level you are willing to stop at, and what you are willing to let call 3 times before you finally pick up. Next episode, we go inside a different empire. Same 7 levels, same brutal math, building a private security empire, from a single unarmed guard at a strip mall to a $300 million contractor protecting people whose names you are not allowed to say out loud. Tell me in the comments which level would you have stopped at before it stopped being your company at all.